So there, I went over the stupidity of the RNX continuations.
The RNX continuations.
I mean, the Final Fantasy X continuations.
Hey, don't credit this to me. I don't want credit for this.
I'm sorry. That was a Freudian slip. So I hope that you enjoyed my retelling of the Final Fantasy X continuations that should probably just be disregarded as not canon like you already are. It's super stupid. It just feels like that they tried to do things that were edgier than what happened in Final Fantasy X just for the sake of shock value. Especially killing Tidus. That's like literally shock value for the sake of it.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
That's why if I ever made a story, like I would make sure that it ends in a way where it cannot
Preferably have it make sense. That's a good start.
Yeah. Like, also I wouldn't want to make unnecessary sequels just for the sake of it. So, if I don't intend for there to be a sequel, I'll have a conclusive ending. In other words, I'm using stupid, shitty stories like this as an example on how not to write a story.
Yeah, that seems pretty sensible. It's a good example of how not to do it, for sure.
And like, if you're gonna kill off Tidus anyway, like, you've gotta have a good reason to do so, and if he's just gonna be brought back immediately after, it completely, you know, negates the point of killing him. Like, it makes it have no emotional or story significance whatsoever. It's just shock value.
Well, a sequel might have done fine if they actually, like, didn't make it terrible. But definitely, I would have preferred a prequel. Prequel would have been really cool.
Oh yeah. You know, like, almost
Especially
everyone...
since I really like the characters involved.
Almost everyone that I've talked to who's played Final Fantasy X has agreed that they would rather have had a prequel, because Jecht, Auron, and Vraska are interesting characters.
Oh, I have Curse the Blind. I'm gonna risk
Like,
it.
they're some of my favorite characters in the game. Of course, unlike Auron here, my favorite character isn't Auron. I actually like Jecht the best. Mostly because he's an asshole to Tidus, who I hate.
Why you gotta be hating on Tidus?
Because he's the fucking stupid main character. Like, some of the shit he does is really dumb.
Like Tidus.
I don't know, I just never liked Tidus that much. And it's great to see his father be such an asshole to him.
I just thought Jecht was kind of interesting.
He is interesting. And even though it very much seems not like that this is the case, but Jecht actually did care about Tidus.
Yeah.
He was just really bad at showing it. Like,
really bad.
his parenting strategy seemed to be to try and make Tidus as strong of a person as possible by, like, building up his tolerance to, like, him being an asshole.
Yeah.
In the past, I had a friend like that who tried to build my tolerance to, like, sarcasm and whatnot on the internet. So I know what it's like to be a Tidus, you could say. I also think it's really cool that, like, Jack becomes an Aeon, the final Aeon.
I can't believe that didn't hit him.
In fact, Jack is my favorite boss in Final Fantasy X. And also has my favorite boss song. The Other World is my favorite song in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, I like that. That was good.
I like how we've talked more about Final Fantasy X than The Binding of Isaac. Even though
That came up.
that's true. I find it interesting to talk about Final Fantasy X. I need to continue playing it again. Like, I started up a record.
Sucks.
I started up a record before AGDQ 2014, and actually no, it's SGDQ 2014, and it's almost SGDQ 2015. I made the joke that I should continue the game before every SGDQ.
Just a yearly tradition.
It's like, don't get very far into the game, ever.
So I have a fairly decent build here. In other news, I at least got a damage up, and a couple piece, and Halo. Wafer will basically double my health late game. Not a bad start. Let's wait for this to run out. In the meantime, let's search for Magic Mush.
So, I hope that my retelling of bad fan fiction was at least mildly entertaining.
I just can't believe anything.
You can't believe that the creator of Final Fantasy X was involved in making that bullshit.
It's just unreal how bad it is. It's really remarkable to me.
I just don't get why someone would make a good story like Final Fantasy X and then continue it in very horrible ways. Like, increasingly horrible ways.
I don't know. It's pretty bad though. Broken or not. It could be interesting if I get something to use it.
I think when you make a character and intend for them to die, it's more interesting if you like have them leave a legacy and don't bring them back, because then their death is meaningful if they leave something behind and kind of serve as inspiration to the rest of the cast, like so they continue on their lives and whatnot. And I think that's more interesting than whatever bullshit they were trying to pull with that continuation to Final Fantasy X. I really hate the trend that all sequels, well, maybe not all, but a majority of sequels just seem to be edgier than the original story, just for the sake of it. Like, Jak 2 was a departure from Jak and Daxter in terms of, like, feel and atmosphere. Because the first game was very lighthearted, and then you have guns and whatnot introduced. Guns, vehicles. It just feels like they were pulling a Shadow the Hedgehog, which is also a good example of this theming sequels. Because Shadow the Hedgehog serves as a sequel to Sonic Adventure 2, story-wise at least, and it's a lot edgier and darker. But Sonic Adventure 2 counts as well, because it's a sequel to Sonic Adventure, and is edgier and darker than Sonic Adventure. Ironically, Sonic Heroes served as a sequel to Sonic Adventure 2 as well, but was a lot more lighthearted than Sonic Adventure 2. So they kind of went in the opposite direction for that game. Say, in Shadow the Hedgehog, let's go back into that dark direction. I just don't like dark and edgy sequels, because, like, it's generic. Pretty much everyone does it. It's not unique. It's not interesting to me, because edgier for the sake of it isn't interesting. I don't think edgy is bad. It's just, if it's not executed properly, it'll just come across as very cheap and shallow, rather than more complicated or interesting. Which is, I think, is, like, you know, the intention that darker makes it a more complicated story. I think that's the intention, but if you don't pull it off well, it just comes across as very lazy.
I'm gonna get to teleport as I please. See if we can get in the item room. Petrification, poison, darkness, and silence on every hit. It's a lot of status.
I think that because I want to be a story writer, I care a lot about how people handle characterization, world development, and other things.
Come on, put me in the item room.
Like, I care about that stuff because I, myself, would hold myself to these standards where, like, if I was to make a story, I would abide by these guidelines, because I don't want to just make something dark and edgy for the sake of it, or do something just for shock value.